Sunday, April 25th, 2004. We're in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. The past winners of the greatest race in the history of spring consist of the who's who of modified racing. On a chilly and drizzly afternoon in the Tobacco Valley of Stafford, things started off on script, but how we got here makes what will happen next all the more special. In order to get to this point, we need to rewind. Before the 2004 season, between these two drivers in your frame hold 4 championships, but we're both missing that one last box to check off, a Sizzler victory. And they couldn't be driving for 2 more different organizations. Jerry Marquis wheeled the famed Bowler 3 team, which is the same team whom won the inaugural spring Sizzler back in 1972 with driver Freddie DeSaro. But since then, the Bowler team hasn't been able to return to Sizzler victory lane. Marquis has won almost everything except this event, and even won the prestigious Thompson 300 for Bowler just 3 years prior. Nosed out Todd Szegedy, the 2003 Modified Tour champion, for the win in the May Stafford race last season, and won in the most recent visit to Stafford in the running of the major fall final 150. However, the team's equipment was all in-house made and not available by a factory order. Around the early 2000s, teams could order their chassis from the likes of Troyer without having to do much fabrication. But even to this day, the Bowler team is still preparing all in-house custom-made chassis, utilizing everything from fully fabricated parts to junk-restored spare pieces. It helped the likes of Tony Hirschman and Wayne Anderson achieve victories and titles in the 90s, but now that their equipment was aging, it added pressure to the team and its drivers to find a way to get blood out of stone. Luckily for Bowler, the 2000 champion Marquis could do it, and they mutually believed in one another. On the other side of the spectrum was Tony Hirschman, one of the most quiet yet most intelligent and successful modified drivers in history, eventually winning 5 titles, and having one of the best average finishing positions in history for any champion, with an amazing 4.5 average finish during his 1999 title season. Just like Marquis, he was on a comeback of his own. From a small slump and wrist injury in 2001 and 2002 to getting his mojo back in September of 2003. He went on to winning the Thompson 300 and the World Series that season for his car owners Bob and Tom Keeley. The number 48 team was well financed and had lots of help and momentum going into 2004. Tony himself would house the race car at his own race shop in Pennsylvania, where he could spend all his time tweaking the setup. The chassis was a new Troyer race car, and Hirschman was a wizard with Troyer race cars himself, building his chassis setup business off it as well. Both drivers came into the event with different odds after the season opening icebreaker. Marquis started 25th and was leading late in the race until he was wrecked once he lost the lead. Hirschman, who won the pole, lost the lead while attempting to pit the latest for tires and ran out of time, working his way back to the front, relegating him back to a 5th place finish after leading 36 laps. But then during qualifying for the Sizzler, Marquis picked a very early draw, and normally an early draw at that time in Stafford Speedway's history was the kiss of death to speed. The 3 teams' bad luck resulted in them having to take a provisional to even start the event and would roll off from the 29th starting position. Hirschman had better luck and qualified 5th. Through the first half of the race, it looked like the 2 drivers who battled for the win in last year's Sizzler would go at it again in this year's event. Ted Christopher, last year's winner and king of Stafford Speedway, and Eddie Flenke Jr. had a torrid battle in the closing laps last year, until Flenke hit the wall while side by side with Christopher for the lead. This year Flenke won the pole and would lead the field to the green flag with Teddy just outside him in second. Flenke said, "Everyone's calling it the Teddy and Eddie show, but that's just because we're 2 hard-nosed drivers and we went at it in last year's event." Christopher, on the other hand, mentioned that this is a new tire we are racing on, and this race will depend a lot on that and strategy. Chuck Hosfeld, driving for Bob Garbarino's Mystic Missile team, was the 3rd contender in this race, and throughout most of the event, he set the fastest pace of anyone. All 3 drivers were racing very hard early on, and chose to make passes utilizing both the inside and outside lanes. Everyone was tightly bunched together, rubbing Nerf bars. After Hosfeld eventually took over the lead by lap 11, he held on to it after having to survive some strong attacks from other drivers like Doug Coby, Todd Szegedy, Flemke, and yes, Jerry Marquis with Tony Hirschman. All of this aggression could be contributed to all the different tire strategies that goes into these long tour events. Many drivers will opt to pit before the halfway point of the race, placing themselves up front later on when everyone else pits later, and gamble that their older tires will hold off the fresh tires having to pass everyone. But for everyone on the track, there was another thing on their minds, and that was the weather. The forecast was iffy all day, and during the majority of the event, there was a slight drizzle coming down, making the track very slick. Some teams were worried about the race only going a half distance and being called, while others just bid their time. Haasfeld fended off all the charges until he pitted with 83 laps remaining. When this happened, Jerry Marquis inherited the lead. But before we go any further, we have to rewind all the way back to the first part of the race. On lap 21, he narrowly avoided disaster after the double zero of Bobby Santos had an engine expire, throwing a cloud of smoke and oil on the track, collecting a bunch of cars. Marquis snuck by, using the grass in turn 1, and was able to get through unharmed. From the start of the day, his team gathered and told one another, "We have all the faith in each other," after their poor starting position. And after dodging this accident, their luck turned around. Once he moved his way up and eventually took the lead with 83 to go, the weather started to clear up, and it meant that he would have to hold off the quickest cars from qualifying to the end. Marquis mentioned, "After the light drizzle, my windshield was getting really bad and was totally messed up. I was trying to drive by aiming my left front to the white line." He was stuck in a lion's den with the fastest man on the track at this point and Tony Hirschman chasing him down, but the most elite racers can hold off those with more speed behind him. And for the final 15 laps, Hirschman made moves all over the 3 with no luck. In the world of racing today, we're used to seeing a lot of bumpers being smashed due to a lack of patience. But between these two, there was nothing but clean, fair racing. Hirschman was never an aggressive driver to the point where he would ram into anyone's bumper. And honestly, to the majority of racing historians' knowledge, there may not be any history of him touching anyone. So here we are. As we approach the final turn, Hirschman was able to get to the door of the 3. Will Tony add that final missing crown jewel race win to his resume? Or will Jerry be the one to do it? This is the greatest race in the history of spring. So welcome to a moment in history.
Turn 3. Marquis goes up the hill. Hirschman is right there. Up the turn, down to the line they come. It's Jerry Marquis over Tony Hirschman.
Those last 30 laps might have been the best 30 laps of his career.
In the following season, Tony Hirschman would win the Spring Sizzler, coming from behind. If you enjoyed this video, here are some more to keep you entertained. Here's one about Tony Hirschman's late career resurgence, and another one about Jerry Marquis' career.